Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. You're joining us on this special conversation that we're having with Mr. Ashok Kumar Jha, a former finance secretary of the Indian government. Mr. Jha, welcome to this conversation. I quickly want to get these points answered from you with regard to the announcement that has come from the Reserve Bank of India last week, where 2,000 rupee notes were announced to be withdrawn from circulation. Now, according to the RBI, the legal tender status of these currency notes will continue. And people can continue to transact with them at least till the 30th of September, during which period they are also requested to go ahead and deposit these currency notes in the banks or exchange them for other denomination notes. Just to start with this question, sir, why is it that a 7-year-old note is suddenly now being withdrawn from circulation?
Well, I guess the RBI's explanation, which everybody knows, is that this is a part of their policy of clean money.
Yeah.
The notes were issued 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
They have, at that point in time when they were issued, when the demonetization program was launched, then they had to fill up the gap quickly to make up for the notes that were withdrawn at that point in time. And therefore, 2,000 rupee notes seem to be the ideal filler. Because fewer notes were then be required to fill the gap. So that is the explanation that they have given. They have, of course, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see anything wrong in withdrawing the notes, in the sense that even earlier, if you recall, notes had been withdrawn from time to time, the latest instance being in 2014-15. So there is no problem with that. The only problem that I see is a problem of perception. The perception is, which is far more important often than reality. And the perception is that there is something else behind this. And, people, if people are allowed to go and change the notes, they go to the banks, change the notes, no question asked, no PAN details noted down, etc., then I think there will be no backlash.
Yeah.
But, if there is some, RBI has not mentioned anything about taking note of the people who are depositing the notes. But some banks, apparently, according to press reports, have issued statements.
Yes.
Would like to note down the details of the depositor, just in case these notes turn out to be counterfeit. So that is the explanation given. Now, if that kind of thing creeps in, then there could be some backlash.
Okay. We had a few reporters go out to various bank branches and the discussion was what they were looking for was long lines, but that they didn't see, not too many people lining up to exchange or deposit these notes at this point in time, at least. And of course, they have still 4 months to do so. The other point that they saw was that there is a little bit of confusion amongst these branch staff as to whether they are, as you mentioned, they need to take details of these customers or not. Some branch managers are erring on the side of caution, and they're saying that we will seek this information. However, that seems to be confusing people on the ground if they truly do intend to exchange. In an exercise like this, which is a nationwide sort of a broad scale exercise, how easy is communication, or how difficult does communication become between, let's say, the central offices of banks and the ground staff?
I think it's very important, not only the communication between the central offices and the bank staff, but also between the RBI and the banks, and between the banks and the customers.
Right.
All three levels, the communication has to be, excellent, so that people do not get carried away by rumors and other stuff. So I think, see, for instance, now, one of the ingredients of this withdrawal is that people can go and deposit up to 20,000 rupees at a time. Now, I have not been able to really fathom the rationale of this, because if somebody has the money, he wants to deposit, does it mean he'll go at 10 o'clock in the morning, deposit 20,000, go again 11 o'clock in the morning, it was another 20,000? To me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there must be a rationale. I'm sure there is a rationale. But that rationale has to be explained to the people, to the customers, which has not been done so far.
Yeah, that brings me to the next question. This communication between the RBI and people. Now, for example, this 30th September sort of date, right? There's really no communication from the RBI. Even the RBI governor gave out a public statement in front of reporters yesterday, but there was no clarity as to what exactly is on 1st October. What happens? Do these 2,000 rupee notes become invalid? Can I not use them in any fashion? Will a bank reject my 2,000 rupee note if I go to them? This gap in communication, is it strategic or probably a mishandling of the situation?
No, I think it is strategic because if you don't put a timeline, then people will not go and exchange. So you have to put a timeline. And that is why, if I recall, the RBI governor said that what happens to these notes post 30th September will be determined closer to the date.
Yeah.
In the sense that they will see how much of the notes still remain with people, and then they will decide the future course of action. But I think in anything of this nature, where you have you're withdrawing currency from the market, you have to put a finite timeline. Otherwise, it becomes meaningless.
Okay.
Even if you go back to 2014, when the earlier notes were withdrawn, there was a timeline. 3-4 months was given. I think it was up to 30th
July,
1st March, and then July or something.
Yeah. So, in these kind of matters, what is the level of inclusion of the government? Because this is at the end of the day a note management sort of decision, which is the RBI's remit. But how much of a communication with the government happens prior to these things, sir?
You see, I think after the demonetization backlash, the government is staying aloof from all this. And in my view, it's a good move to keep away from this, because it is basically the business of RBI to handle how much currency or what denomination should be in the system. So they have left basically RBI bat on this. RBI is batting. Government is keeping away from this. I think only I heard one interview with the finance secretary a couple of days ago, where he, very briefly said, well, it is, it's been done before, and there's nothing to look at this up other than the RBI's policy of what you call the clean notes.
Is there? I know that this has become more of a political sort of quoting, but is there an element of hoarding as far as these 2,000 rupee notes are concerned? They're small value in comparison to the other denominations. However, it's still 3.6 lakh crore. That's a huge amount of money. Do you think that there's a hoarding or illicit sort of cash handling happening outside in the economy?
See, there is no doubt that everybody keeps a bit of cash at home, if nothing else for emergencies. Even a normal middle class family will keep a lakh or two at home. And if they're keeping a lakh or two at home, they will keep it in the the most convenient denomination. It's not for transactions. It's basically as a store to meet emergency requirements, and they would naturally put it in the highest value of the highest currency that's available, which would have been 2,000 rupee notes. So I'm quite sure that a lot of this, 3.5 lakh crores that the RBI says is out there, a lot of it may be with middle class families, and amounts may be a lakh or two per family. In fact, on an anecdotal level, one of the local shopkeepers I went to yesterday, he was saying that he doesn't see the logic of this. He was asking me, what is the logic of all this? We all keep money at home, and if tomorrow, if I have to go to the bank and the bank wants to note down my PAN numbers, etc., then unnecessarily I get entangled into areas which I'm an honest man. He said, I'm an honest man. Why should I get entangled in all this? So I think this is where the communication lines must be very clear. The RBI must tell the banks must tell their customers that, look, this is what's going to happen. You just come, deposit your money. And as I said earlier, there has to be some explanation why they are saying 20,000 rupees at a time. I mean, I have not been able to find out the logical reason for that.
Yeah. Well, as things stand, sir, there are more unanswered questions than there are those answered. Thank you so much, Mr. Jha, for joining us on this conversation. And thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.